Hello and welcome to another video. In this one we're going to look at a Baxi Duo combi, which is a 33 kilowatt boiler. Slightly older model, not the most recent models, but this video is not on a repair. Rather, this video is going to try and help you recognize the components of the boiler, what component is what inside this boiler. So I'll try to mention what the name of the components are, which one is what, and I will mention briefly how to replace those components as well. So let's get into it. So firstly, looking at the hydro block, the bottom section of the boiler, on the very right we've got a drain valve of the boiler where the dial, if you turn, you can start draining the boiler into a bucket or connect a hose. On top of that is a pressure gauge connection. The boiler's pressure gauge connects there. It's got a capillary hose which goes to the pressure gauge itself, and if you need to change it, you just undo the nut on the pressure gauge. This is a PRV, pressure relief valve of the boiler. Looking at the underside of this, it has got a 15mm compression connection which you can undo to replace this component. And this Allen key screw you need to undo and put a bit of WD-40 in order to replace the PRV completely. To remove it, you have to undo this Allen key screw and then pull the PRV forward, and it will come out with a bit of struggle, but it does come out. Next, what we're going to look at is the pump itself. Alright, so you can either remove the complete pump or the head of the pump as well if it's broken, if it needs changing. But this is the screw, the first screw to change the whole pump assembly, 2 screws altogether. And this is the second screw, the bigger one, which you remove, and with a bit of wiggle you can remove the pump because it's pushed in. It's got an O-ring behind it, so it is a bit stuck, but you have to wiggle and remove it. If you want to remove just the head, replace it, pump head, you remove these 4 screws, which most of you I'm sure will know, and then the pump head comes off. On the side there is a little lid with this screw. You undo this Phillips screw and the wiring connections are in there. In push connections, you just pull away the grabbing clip onto the cables, and the cables can come out and you can replace it onto the new pump. And after this we've got a flow switch. So this is a flow assembly where the cold water goes in. It's not got a turbine, but it's got a switch which acts on flow assembly itself and then activates the flow switch, which is the clear switch at the top with the green small PCB. You can look inside. So this will have a small red LED light which you will see when it comes on. You will know that a demand has been activated. Then we've got a gas valve, the boiler's gas valve, which sits right in the middle, and this has got a test point at the very bottom, the bottom left hand corner. Then in the middle, the big screw is, you can adjust when the boiler's in chimney sweep mode, you can adjust the minimum and maximum readings of the boiler. So you remove the middle screw, and inside it, I think it's a 4mm Allen key, you turn it clockwise, anti-clockwise to increase and decrease the minimum flue gas readings. Then behind this little blue cover on the gas valve, you've got the maximum adjustment on the chimney sweep. So you turn clockwise and anti-clockwise to increase or decrease the flue readings, the maximum chimney sweep output mode. Okay, this is the pressure switch or the pressure sensor, which detects how much pressure you filled in the boiler, where the pressure gauge shows the pressure as well. So this is what the boiler recognizes the pressure through this, and if the pressure drops low, it shows you a low pressure fault code on the boiler. Another thing you might come across with a fault on this pressure switch, if your boiler is showing okay pressure on the pressure gauge, but the fault code on the boiler is showing low pressure, or is indicating that the pressure in the boiler is low, then you may be looking at a faulty pressure switch or a blocked pressure switch. So there is a little thread which is behind this pressure switch, so this gets threaded into the flow manifold. So when you undo it, you can see that it might be blocked or it's stopped working. So this one is the flow manifold altogether, and the diverter valve assembly is in front of you. Inside the brass body it sits the diverter valve itself, the cartridge which moves up and down to supply towards the hot water or plate heat exchanger, or send it towards the radiators for the heating. And on top, the black component you can see is the motor, which pushes it when in heating mode and pulls it inwards when it is in the hot water mode, so the cartridge can sit in its default position, pushed upwards into the hot water position of the boiler. So on this boiler, what seems to have gone wrong is that the cartridge inside the diverter valve, the seals on that, I think where the pin moves up and down, is gone. So it's leaking from where the pin moves, and that has caused not only the diverter valve cartridge to become damaged and scaled up, but it has caused damage to the motor as well. So these two pipes, you can see the big one is the primary flow coming to the diverter valve, so it can be distributed to the heating or the plate heat exchanger, and the small pipe, you can see the branched off small pipe, that is going to the expansion vessel which sits in the combustion chamber above. As you can see, expansion vessel is connected to that little branching off pipe. Alright, next moving to the combustion chamber, this is the fan of the boiler, which sits underneath the main heat exchanger, and this is the gas pipe which is coming off the gas valve at the bottom and going into the burner and air gas mixing chamber assembly, and then the fan is forcefully mixing it and sending to the burner the right combination of gas and air. And the next we've got is the maximum NTC and the flow NTC, or the primary flow temperature sensor. The big black one is the overheat, and the small one is the primary flow sensor, which detects the temperature of water coming out from the main heat exchanger. Next, you can see on the left of the main heat exchanger is the expansion vessel. This expansion vessel, if you want to remove or replace it, the screw at the far back, you remove that screw, and the screw at the front you remove, and this whole bracket moves sort of up and left, and once you've undone the connection at the bottom, you can remove the expansion vessel and replace it. Next, what we've got is this spark generator assembly, which sends the spark to the spark electrode, and it's got the earth cable. Okay, so if you haven't got a spark, then most probably this has gone faulty. As you can see, the two cables coming from the spark generator to the electrode, one is an earth and the other one is a spark generator. As you can see, this cable we're following back, this is the earth cable, and the second one is the spark electrode cable, which is coming from the generator itself. Alright, next what we've got, this is a flue sensor. So if the flue is overheating, it's not discharging the fumes, this will overheat, telling you that there is a problem with the flue or the discharge of gases from the boiler itself. The next thing what we're looking at is the rectification electrode, which sits behind this red plug, and the cable goes underneath directly to the PCB itself. After that, these are the flue test points. So the left one is the flue test point, so where you check the gases, the flue gas analysis, and on the right you've got the flue integrity check, which tells you the air coming into the boiler has got no dilution of gases. Maybe the flue is leaking. If the flue starts to leak within itself, the seals inside the flue are gone, then you will, while testing with the boiler's case on, you will find with a flue analyzer that there is a mixture of flue gases in the second part of the flue, where there should be only oxygen but no gas at all. Alright, so this is a video which hopefully will help you with recognizing a few components inside this boiler. If you've liked the video, then please subscribe to my channel, share the video, like the video, and I will see you in the next one.